tell your kids that you are a stoner. The morning that I heard the results of Rose's liver biopsy, advanced melanoma, I went right to the gift wrapping cupboard. I threw everything onto the floor. Spools of ribbon, twine, string, scissors, pinking shears, a ribbon curler, tape, glue, tissue paper, used wrapping paper, new wrapping paper, cellophane, raffia, gift boxes, gift tags, gift bags. I tossed out what I would never use and sorted and organized the rest in a fit of grief. When I finished with the wrapping drawer, I went to my writing room. On my small wooden desk overlooking the ferries gliding between Seattle and Bainbridge Island, I took note of a jar of weed covered in an emerald green Japanese wrapping cloth. How beautiful, I thought. The unopened weed was months old, a Hanukkah gift from my 40-year-old niece. Years ago, I would have opened the pretty green jar immediately, rolled a joint, gone outside with a friend for a walk. But my kids, Daniel, now 18, and William, now 14, were due home later. Hey boys, Mama's high, watch out. In my mid-50s, I prefer not to inhale harsh smoke. I don't like the sludge it leaves behind my throat. Better a vape pen that heats up cartridge with cannabis oil and produces vapor. As I absorbed Rose's news, I needed to keep moving. Without reason, I opened the package. The musky fragrance filled my writing room. I picked up a sticky bud and rolled it between my fingers. It left a thin brown film. Smoke it, toss it. Remembering a conversation that I had with one of my nieces about cooking with weed, her specialty, cannabis butter, I brought the jar into the kitchen and spread the weed out on a baking sheet from the toaster oven. Slid it into the oven on what I now know was too high of a heat. In 2 minutes, a fog of harsh smoke filled the kitchen and escaped down the hall. I slammed the kitchen door, nearly catching my husband's nose as he came flying in. What in the hell are you doing? Steve, my sweet, non-weed smoking husband, stood shaking his head as if I were the teenager. I grabbed the toaster oven while blinking the smoke out of my eyes and hobbled outside barefoot on a sprained ankle in mid-March. When the weed was cooled, I returned with the toaster to the kitchen. I considered cannabis, goat, and basil phyllo triangles. I checked the freezer for a rectangular box of the paper-like dough. Luckily, none. Then in my manic pursuit, I flashed on Indian spice nuts that Steve and I had ordered a week earlier on our 29th anniversary. Months earlier, sitting around the kitchen table with my younger son William and his friend Rowan, William asked me if I smoked weed, had smoked weed, or something like that. Stunned, I didn't answer quickly enough. Really? I finally managed. My body is my temple. I continued on with my cooking adventure in my kitchen and ground the toasted cannabis into fine powder into my coffee grinder. I mixed the powder with curry, cardamom, cayenne, cumin, salt, and cinnamon, and stirred in a very grassy olive oil. I added walnuts, cashews, and almonds into the slurry and tossed it. This time I used a large cookie sheet in our regular oven. The scent of the nuts cooking covered my earlier tracks, making the kitchen smell like a spice market. Predictably, my husband came in and reached for the cooling nuts. I smacked his hand away. Again, really? I was surprised by his innocence. The next morning, when my husband was getting our sons off to school as I was sleeping after a late night of writing, he put bread in the toaster oven to make their breakfast. Toast with peanut butter. In less than a minute, the scent of marijuana filled the kitchen again, despite how well I had cleaned the wall of the oven box. Steve, flashing back to the day before, threw open the doors to the patio to fumigate the room. William came down first. "What stinks?" he asked. Your mother was making something yesterday, my husband said. When Daniel came down to collect his toast, he commented, "It stinks of weed." My husband said nothing. The boys left. My husband called me midday to tell me what I had left him to deal with. I dreaded the afternoon when I would face questioning. I contemplated staying out until they were in bed. My friend Ren chided me. "You'll have to go home at some point, so might as well get it over with now." When I got home that afternoon, no one said a word. As Steve and I made dinner that night, I put bread into the toaster oven to warm, and once again, the kitchen began to smell of weed. Again, we flung open the patio doors. I grabbed a cast iron pan and threw in a splash of olive oil, garlic, and onions, and let the cooking scent the air. And again, no one said a word.